What's up, gamers and geeks? Matt here with That's Fair Podcasting and Gaming Geeks Live. And in this video, I'm going to go over 10 developers' #1 games in the last 20 years. It was kind of a fun one to do. I picked out 10 video game developing companies that I wanted to go over and what I felt was their best game. And some aren't even their best-selling games, but I think a lot of you guys may agree. But if not, please let me know in the comments section what you think each of these developer games are the best that they've ever done. So stay tuned. This one was kind of hard because of the 10 developers I picked, I wanted to pick what I feel are their best games of the past 20 years. And some developing companies aren't nearly as big as the others, but some of them are a dead giveaway, some are obvious. But anyway, if you are new here, please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live. Maybe you liked the video. Sincerely, we're kind of at your mercy. And if you don't do any of those things and you just watch this video, thank you so much. That's really what matters. So thanks for joining. But I went over a careful list of 10 developers that I wanted to choose from and what I felt was their best game within the last 20 years. And I'm going to start off with Naughty Dog. No big, no big brainer here. But it was 2013 on the PlayStation 3 and it was just a PlayStation 3 and maybe the PC. But anyway, obviously, The Last of Us, the first one by Naughty Dog. These guys that did the Uncharted up to this point, A Thief's End, which is, I think actually came out after The Last of Us, but Thief's End, a great game, but it's still hard to beat the first Last of Us. When you're playing as Joel and you know, you got to guide Ellie, and it's just, guys, I mean, I gotta say that even now the replay value is high, even with all the remasters of this game. The second one I didn't really care for. I thought it got too progressive and they fucked Joel over. So to me it was absolute shite. But I gotta say, if I had to pick one by Naughty Dog that's the best, and it was tough to me, and these are all opinion based, guys, but to me it was kind of between A Thief's End and The Last of Us, but I think The Last of Us just has the edge on that one, and that's why I chose that one for Naughty Dog. Now, Rockstar, surprise, surprise, 2013's Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, probably soon to be passed by Grand Theft Auto 6, still slated for May of 2026. But as you know, that one came out for, I think, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2013. And I remember playing it and playing all three characters, and I remember just, it was new. It was kind of a new engine. Everything was new, and it was just sort of kind of blowing you away with how advanced that game was for something that was 12 years old. And then, of course, GTA Online came out and just completely blew it away. I had my other three friends, close friends, where we were running heists, and, I may have modded an account here or there, even though Rockstar did catch it. They caught it. I was spending too much in-game money at one time, and I think it raised a red flag like a dumbass. But anyway, guys, that will be my number 2 is Rockstar in 2013's Grand Theft Auto 5, which is no big surprise. Now we're going to move on to a video game company called Obsidian. Now, they recently came out with one called Avowed, and I think that's total dog shit. My favorite Obsidian game, believe it or not, little game called Alpha Protocol. I really enjoyed that. But if you got to go with Obsidian as far as their best, you got to go with 2010's Fallout New Vegas, which was obviously also PS3 and Xbox 360. And I remember at that time thinking it had a little bit of an edge on Fallout 3. Now, Fallout 4 came along and didn't do anything as far as to raise the bar. So ultimately, neck and neck, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, I thought pretty much it ran a tie, but I loved Fallout New Vegas's direction. You know, you were in the wasteland, you were in the Mojave Desert in Vegas and parts of California. And I think overall, the Fallout New Vegas experience was so good that I don't know how many, at that time, I had replayed it over and over. So Obsidian, to me, their best in the last 20 years is definitely Fallout New Vegas. Now we're going to move on to Bandai Namco. And guys, we're going to go way back. Bandai Namco, their number one, believe it or not, is going to be 1980s Pac-Man. And it came out in an arcade, eventually coming to Atari 2600, a shitty version. But, you know, honestly, Pac-Man, there was such a craze in the early 80s because of it. Even had a Saturday morning cartoon come out after that, and there was such a Pac-Man craze that, you know, in all honesty, it was hard to beat. But Bandai Namco, I don't think can ever do what Pac-Man did, no matter what they come out with. Guys, trust me on this one. It is probably their greatest achievement of all time. I'm gonna go with EA, Electronic Arts, and or EA Sports, and I'm gonna, you know, honestly, going by what sold the best, but I think what game was the best as far as the Madden franchise was Madden 2007, which came out in 2006. And that came out on the PS2 and the Xbox 360, I think the PS2 or the PS3. It was 06, so maybe just the Xbox and the PS2. Maybe I'm full of shit. I'm probably full of shit, but I don't know. Anyway, not the point. I think it was just at that time the PS2 and the Xbox 360. And then the PS3 came along shortly after that. But anyway, not the point. You had Sean Alexander, the former Seattle running back, number 37, that ultimately took Ricky Running Water's spot. And guys, it gave you the overall best choices. And I think there was a reason, is because it brought in your creative player so much more. By this time, you'd already been importing your NCAA into Madden. So yeah, EA Sports 2007's Madden, I think, is the crown jewel of EA. I don't count EA with BioWare. BioWare is going to be a separate entity for obvious reasons. So anyway, that's where I'm going. We're going to move on to Bethesda. Surprise, surprise, 2011's Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Yeah, you obviously. PS3 and Xbox 360 originally, before it started getting remade over and over and over and over, and probably getting another remake before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. But anyway, guys, there's not enough that we can say about Skyrim. With the DLCs that came out, like Hearthfire, what was it, the Dragonborn one, or the, like, where you got Solstein Island, but let's not forget Dawnguard. Probably one of the greatest DLCs in Bethesda history, by opinion only. But guys, I mean, you could do so much with Skyrim even now. You don't even have to follow the path of the Dragonborn. You can turn left instead of right to Riverwood. I mean, it's still a deeply rich, fun game that I think has such a high replay value, and to this day still holds up as the greatest possible RPG of all time. Anyway, guys, so Bethesda's crowning achievement is Skyrim. I don't see how that's even a factor or an argument. But anyway, I'm going to move on to BioWare's number one game in the past 20 years. It may not be my favorite, which is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, but I got to go with Mass Effect 2 in 2010 for the Xbox 360, I think. I don't know if it was released as quickly or not. I don't remember, but I can just tell you that the original Suicide Squad that BioWare came up with, you know, you had obviously Commander Shepard with Joker returning as your pilot. You had returns from the first game like Tali, Garrus, even Liara in the Lair of the Shadow Broker DLC, and then you had a bunch of new people like Miranda and Jacob and Thane, and, you know, we could go on and on with Jack. And anyway, long story short, Grunt, the original Suicide Squad Legion was... That Mass Effect game, to me, is still extremely fun to play. Yes, it's the same outcome every time, but you almost continue to play it, especially through Legendary Edition, and it is the standalone of all three of those games. Yes, Mass Effect 1 started it, but Mass Effect 3 tried to finish it. But in the middle, standing as tall as a tower, would be Mass Effect 2, and I can't... It's the greatest, in my opinion, BioWare game of all time. So, yeah. Anyway, we're going to go with Ubisoft. Now, this one was tough because of the Assassin's Creed games. You have that, you have the Prince of Persia, you have so many others. Their biggest moneymaker was Assassin's Creed Valhalla in 2020, which actually ultimately achieved over $1 billion in revenue. But Assassin's Creed Black Flag is the standalone, up at the top, apex game. I think where Ubisoft hit the ultimate Apex, and from then it was just a slow descent down until it got faster and faster. And you know as well as I do, as great as Valhalla was as far as graphics and some of the Viking lore, the story left a lot to be desired, and it was almost too big, almost like Odyssey. But Black Flag was a directive, you were on a path, you were a pirate, you were in the Caribbean, and you were the badass Edward Kenway. And so I don't see Ubisoft reaching the level of achievement that Black Flag gave them. Maybe they can help it in this remake coming out for Black Flag, remake and or remaster. That might keep them afloat, because right now Ubisoft needs a win, and these last three that they've released, like Star Wars Outlaws, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Skull and Bones, is absolute dog shit, and there's a reason why, and it is failing miserably, and they have only themselves to blame. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is the crowning achievement for Ubisoft. Let's go with Capcom at the second to last that I've got on my list, with Monster Hunter World in 2018 for the Xbox One and PS4. I believe it was a multiplayer online game, and I didn't get to play that much, but I kind of regret it. I may want to jump back into it if possible. I don't know how the servers are still, but yeah, as far as Capcom, although I really enjoyed Monster Hunter Wilds, that one is my favorite. But I think if you had to pick a number one with them, you got to go with Monster Hunter World. I think that it really went into a direction that blew us the hell away. And last, I'm going to go with CD Projekt Red. And although Witcher 3 is such a huge game and probably is their best, I'm still partial to Cyberpunk 2077 that came out in 2020. Buggy as fuck. But Cyberpunk, since then, CDPR has put so much effort into making such a great game. They cleaned it up. An unplayable game, they cleaned it up completely. They ultimately come out with Phantom Liberty, even a great DLC expansion. Johnny Silverhand, Pan Am Palmer, you had Judy Alvarez, I think. Anyway, you had such a huge array of supporting characters to go with V that it's hard not to want to jump back into Night City, either by Corpo, Street Kid, or Nomad. But I gotta tell you, even though Witcher 3 is probably their greatest achievement, CDPR, I'm still most partial to Cyberpunk. But anyway, guys, that's all I have. Thank you so much. Again, if you don't mind subscribing to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live, or again, like the video, we're at your mercy. And if you stuck with me this long on this pointless video, thank you so much. That's what means the most. And to all you gamers, I will forever say all love, and I'm outro.